Hey guys, Bobby here again, starting a new series of tutorials. I'm still using the Corel Draw 2017, and I went a little advanced a couple of years ago, just testing out some software, and I got a tremendous amount of feedback about it. And I have some friends of mine that are going to be feeding me some questions. And so one guy is brand new to Corel Draw. He's never really done it. He's new to the engraving business. And so he wanted me just to give a walkthrough. So as you can see, I have this I just installed on my computer, and I turned off that annoying welcome to this screen thing. So let me take you for a little tour through this whole screen. The first thing, and again, I just installed this, so it's probably going to come up with this new stuff. I want to hit new, and I personally don't like this whole what do you want thing. I use this all the time. I make my default. So let's just say, for engraving sake, 6 inches by 6 inches is my default. You set this once. I usually leave in CMYK because it's easiest for me to give it to printers and all that type of stuff. So I just leave it at CMYK. That's usually what they want. And then I click on do not show this dialog again and hit OK. And so now my default is here. And we're gonna go through just setting this up and reaffirming the defaults in another video. But and if I forget to, just send me an email. But let's just go through these buttons on the side. So first off, we have the pick tool. This is how we move stuff around. So if I was to, again, I'll come back to this. If I draw a square and I pick my pick tool, I can grab this thing. Usually you grab by the center in Corel, and I can drag it around wherever I want. If I click it a second time, you see how the outside boundaries change. If I grab these ones, it allows me to rotate it. And if I grab these ones, it allows me to skew it. And I can do it in any which way. If I make a mistake, Control Z, and I can go back, I think, like 100 things. Another thing you'll see is that this center turns into a circle. And this is a little bit more of an advanced thing. We'll come back to this. I can move my center, so when I rotate, it rotates around that point. So I can actually spin it around a different point. Why would you want to do that? Let's not get into that yet. Another quick trick with the tool, the pick tool, is if I have, let's say, 6 or 7 different things here, right, and I want to grab them quickly all at one time, I double click on the pick tool and everything is selected. So that's a quick trick. Also, I'm holding, I click and hold, and I can also do a freehand pick. I never use that. And a freehand transform, never use it. So I can't really tell you too much about that kind of stuff. So next one is, this is an advanced thing. This is a shape tool. So if I ever wanted to do some weird things with these shapes, I could actually modify them. It's a little advanced for what we're going to do here. I can get into customizing shapes and stuff like that. And this comes in handy when we're building weird or you're making a specific shape for, let's say, an acrylic that has a weird shape. We can modify a basic shape into a complex shape by using that tool. This is for crop. If I press and hold it. There's other ones, knife, never use it. Virtual segment, never use it. Eraser, never use it. Crop you use on photos, like raster photos that you're going to input into it. We'll come back to that. Again, if I forget any of these things and you're interested in finding out how to do it, send me an email with a little bit of information, or maybe even give me what you're having a struggle with, and I'll make that the video. Zoom, I never push this button because I've memorized a whole bunch of buttons, and maybe in the future I'll write them out, but I promise you there are about 15 different keys, and I would make a little sheet on your wall that's in front of you and memorize these keys. The zoom is going to be very easy if you hit, remember, F2, F3, F4. So F2, if I press F2, it gives me my zoom tool, and I zoom into whatever I want. F4 is all of the pieces on the sheet, and Shift F4 is the complete sheet. F3 brings me out. Okay? So I'm just pushing buttons, and that's how I zoom. I do not push this button. I don't know. I just got away from that. Freehand, if I ever want to just draw something out there, it'll smooth it, and we can get back into this in a little while because you could, by changing these settings, it'll smooth it out more or less. This is another one, artistic media tool, which is, you probably use this with more of a, you ever see in the movies they use like a pressure tablet and a pen? Well, you can do that with this. I don't do it. We don't, in engraving, you typically don't do it. The square, use this a lot. A couple little tricks with this one. If I just drag a square, you see I can change the aspect any which way I want. If I want it to be a perfect square, you hold shift. I'm sorry, control. Control locks it. So think of control key as constrain and shift key as a multiplier. So watch, if I do shift, I'm doing around the center point, which we'll do a lot of in text. I can hold both of them and get a perfect square that goes around a center point. So a couple of cool things. And if you press and hold the square, I can do a 3-point rectangle, which I never use. You press, hold, let go, and then drag out. And click it again. Different way of doing it. Circle, same rules. I can get this to go any which way. I hit shift, it goes around a center point. I hit control, it's a perfect circle. Shift and control, perfect circle around a center point. Sometimes you use these, and there's a ton of things in here. I'm not going to really get into them. There's a spiral. There's complex stars, polygons, shapes, arrows. We may use these on some weirdo things that we're doing like sublimation or something like that, but typically these stay in here. I don't really use these weird ones. Text, lot to talk about with this one. You can also make a table, which you can set by 3 by 4 columns. It actually makes individual boxes that are scalable. We might use that on a couple things. I don't use these. I have used them before when I'm like designing out like cabinets or something. If I'm building wood, this is really handy to make cabinetry. You can actually give dimensions and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, send me an email about that. Never use this one. This one I use quite a bit. I like the contour. The contour is a very handy one. I use this a lot. So if I'm building a box, let's say this box right here, it'd be very hard for me to thicken these lines. So the one way that people falsely do it, it's kind of like a trick of the trade, but I'll show you why it doesn't work very well, is you can go into this eyedropper tool. Nope, that's the wrong one. We don't have it. So let's put it in here. This little plus, and I'm going to scroll down, and I get to all the way at the bottom, outline flyout. Yes, that's the one I want. Click off it. And what you can do is you can thicken up the outline. Look at that. It looks incredible, right? So now when I take this and I scale it down, look what happens. It doesn't scale very well. It changes when I do that. So I'm going to undo. There we go. Back to where we were. And so the way you're supposed to do it is you click here. I hold it. And then I come over here to the contour and I click on that one. And now I get this whole rollout up on top. And so this one is an inside, or this one is an outside. So let's just apply it. I'll show you what happens. I click once. Oh, look at that. 2 lines. I can make it 3, 4, 5, 6. I can keep making these things go out, and I can change the distance between each one. So if I'm doing like a patch where there's a couple of outlines on it, this might be how I do it. So let's say like a patch like this. Now, let me go over to the right, Object Manager, and if you don't have this up, this is in Tool. Where the heck did they hide it this time? Object. Am I right? Where is it? They moved it in the newer versions. I apologize. I don't remember. I know it's over here, though, somewhere. Object Manager. Here it is. This is it. So that's the one you want. Object Manager. This is like the key. This whole area over here is where like the pros go. So if you look at where I got here, when I have this shape selected, I have a polygon with a contour group built into it. But I want it to be 2 different colors. So the way you do this is you go to Object and you break it apart, which is Control K. I don't use the Control K. I just go here. And when you break it apart, look at that. I got it changed now. Now they're not nested. And I have 2 things that are grouped. So let me just click on that once and let me ungroup group it, which is in, I don't use this very much. Group, ungroup all. Now I have 2 curves. So now this is where the patchwork comes in. Let's just zoom in so I can show you. The back one, let's say, is blue. Oh, everything's blue. No, it's not really. Because this one is on top of that. That one's red. And the top one is white. Look at that. So I just kind of made like a little patch by using that tool. That's a very cool tool. I like that one. The rest of them I really don't use. And the eyedropper, fill, mesh, don't really do it. In the next video, I'm going to come back and we're going to set up the top portion of the screen to some customizations and how to customize your ribbons and make them more yours. So if you like this, email me or subscribe or whatever, and let me know what you're struggling with, and send me some of the work that you're struggling with. As long as I don't get a million of these things, I will try to do them all, because I'm really doing it for my friend. All right, so thanks a lot. Bye.